Alright, so we're going to get started today in a malasana squat, a yoga squat variation. And while for some of us this is a very reasonable start, I know for others it isn't. This is where you would slide something underneath your bum, but it can be literally anything. It could be a pillow, a book, a block, or if you're like, I don't have anything, I don't want to do it, and this is too hard to start, then just sit down and take the legs out. And they could be this far, whatever makes sense. So for me, this is the wider legs is a more interesting start for me if I was going to be seated. So I'll just do this today, and be aware there's a lot of animals, and they just are involved. I try to manage it as best I can. They are very cute. So close your eyes, hands at the heart center in prayer, and you're in Anjali Mudra. You're either in any type of a hip opener that resembles what I'm doing, or with the feet down and the hips lifted in a squat. Close your eyes so you can begin the transition part of our yoga practice, where we let go of whatever goes on in the outside world, and there's so much. So we can tune in to the next 70 minutes of self-care, where our only attention is to ourselves and taking care of what we need physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, particularly in a YIN practice, which is all about stillness. Stillness in the body and the mind. So just start by scanning. We're not in a hurry. Every pose we hold for a while. Start by scanning the body that you live in, the physical body. Acknowledging any injuries or conditions you might be dealing with at the current moment. Noticing the areas that feel nice and open, healthy. Again, whatever is going on for you, acknowledge and pay attention to it. And if it is something like a condition or an injury that you have to work around, make sure you honor that and nourish that. So you push to your edge, but not toward more injury. Get your ego out of the way and allow your body to just respond to gravity. And we'll use our breath to keep us calm throughout. So taking your attention from your physical body as you delve inward and notice the quality of your breath, how you've arrived to your practice. Our breath gives us so much information, connects and communicates with the mind, and all of that is reflected in how the body responds. If your breath is smooth, slow, steady, continue that. And if not, see if you can start cultivating a slower breath in and out through the nose. If you'd like to layer it with ujjayi, a restriction at the back of the throat throughout your practice, by all means try that. But try to keep it to a slow, steady breath in and out through the nose. Notice your energy, your mood, your emotional state. Begin to set an intention, a positive thought, a guiding mantra, something that will bring you into harmony, balance, sattva. With your attention on that thought, slowly draw in air through the nose and back out through the nose. Inhale new, fresh energy in. Filtering through the nose as you exhale. Inhale through the nose, positive thoughts, energy in. Exhale as if the energy of the breath is conserved inside, and you release out through the nose, carbon dioxide. Inhaling oxygen, exhaling carbon dioxide, but the energy, the vayu, the wind behind the breath, that we're directing inward. And slowly blink the eyes open. If you were up, come down. Odie, come here. And take your hands forward in front of you, shins back. Let's just do a couple cat-cows. I do very few dynamic poses, but we'll do a little bit and then we'll hold it open heart. Shoulders back, heart pulls forward, but you can always take any counter pose you need. I usually go straight from one pose to another. Press down, pull the belly in, hollow out the chest, but this is a nice palate cleanser. Heart forward, shoulders back. Press down, pull the belly in, hollow out your chest. One more, pull the heart forward, shoulders back. Take the hips toward the right hip, down to the left and up. This is marauding bear. This is another good counter pose. We'll just do 2 to each direction, right hip, left hip, and up, and counter clockwise. Left, right, and up, last circle. I crack a lot of things when I do this. Right, now take the hands forward, turn the sit bones up. Make a conscious shift. The pelvis dips forward, the sit bones lift, the ribs melt, and the heart pulls forward. Close your eyes. Many things may touch the earth. The sternum, the center of your chest may touch. Your chin may touch, that's kind of where I am. The nose or forehead may touch. And if you're new, I'll talk a lot for the first half, and slowly I'll begin to talk less. So I'll guide you into different ways to find your stillness, but mostly relying on the breath. And I talk so it's a distraction for all of us, but you can tune me out if it's annoying. Or just tune me out if you can find your stillness without me. I won't be giving too many cues, just talking to pass the time. When your mind wanders, which it will, bring it back to the breath. So the mind starts thinking of something you need to do, or something you forgot to do, or something you should have done, or someone wants you to do something. Whatever the mind starts to think about, just remember, oh, I gotta bring it back to the breath. And then just decide to catch yourself. And after a while, it won't be as difficult to stay in the breath and focusing on that. One of the easier ways to focus your attention and find that concentration and meditative state is by paying attention to the breath as if that's the only thing you have to do. And when you break away from that, eventually the mind remembers to come back to the breath. And that'll help us as we get into the more intense poses with the longer holds, where you'll need something to keep you calm. Start developing that awareness of the breath now. Apajapa, breath awareness. Lift the body up just to change the variation to get a little more intense as you come into the elbows. So this is puppy pose or Anahatasana, melting heart, one of my favorites. Elbows down, same thing, hips, sit bones lift up, chest melts. This one's harder to lower to the earth, but not impossible. Letting the shoulders and triceps gently open. Keeping the mind focused on the breath. Allowing the breath to be slow and steady. The key to any yin pose is if you can breathe smoothly and steadily, then you're safe in the pose. You've gone into the pose and it's becoming very intense, and that's clear because your breath is reflecting that by being agitated. The mind is therefore agitated and the body's going to be tight, and it really is not serving your purpose. So when you notice that tightness in the breath, immediately realize if it's the body trying to fight gravity, or your mind cannot allow your body to release. But the breath is your guiding force toward healing yourself and staying calm. Lift up, pull forward into Sphinx. If Sphinx is tough for you, or generally lower back, you have issues going on, your arms are going to move a lot forward, so much forward until there's no impact on your lower spine. No negative impact. If you have a healthy spine and you want to compress it, this is a healthy way to do it. Press into the forearms. Upper body yin, which this is, a little active. So it's not just a passive stretch. You're working the shoulders back and the heart forward. But the lower body is passive. So the pelvis is grounded. Notice my legs are relaxed. I'm not active. My legs aren't lifted. So the lower body is relaxed. So gravity is really doing the work of compressing the spine. We're emphasizing the heart pulling forward, shoulders back. Options of just keeping the gaze straight forward. Eyes are closed, but it could be as if you're gazing at the tip of the nose in a sagri. Or you can allow the chin to gently lower toward the chest, engaging Jalandhara Bandha, closing off the Vishuddha chakra as your next inflection. So if that feels good for you, you might like that. A little bit more restful, but still a bit active. From the waist down, pretty passive. As passive as you can handle. Try not to squeeze the glutes. Those of you with props, I'll start guiding a little bit. If you have a prop and you want this more intense, you slide a prop underneath your forearms. That could be a bolster or blocks in any setting. If it were me, I would do blocks at middle setting, those of you that want a little more intensity. So we'll take a few variations. Open the eyes just for a moment. We'll open and then come right back into it. So I'm going to show two options. And I will show a wall option. I usually show a wall option. So right arm to the left front corner of your mat. Left arm to the left front corner. You could stay here as broken wings. If it's reasonable, you would come into Garudasana. Again, if you have a bolster, even more so than a block, it's kind of nice. You could rest that. That adds value. So options. You can let the forehead kind of just go straight down where the heel of the thumb is, but you can also play with to the side. I like on this, the first side I'd like to the left shoulder, but you could try, see what you like. You could do one then the other. We're not trying to fidget, but I mean, figure out what you like. You could halfway through kind of switch. So this is one option. This is the other option. Both those options, I'm going to switch my mat, because usually I show the upper wall option. Because I do like it, I like most poses more intense. Intense girl, like intense poses. So I'm going to take my legs up the wall, and this is going to make it, this and other poses that we're going to do more intense. So if you want that. Again, this option or this option. So we'll do right first, then left on top, and then you decide where you like the head to be. We'll close our eyes and start now. And if this pose feels uncomfortable, that's okay. And if the poses we do after this feel confronting, that's okay. The poses are fairly simple. This practice is not an easy practice. If you're new, it's even harder. After a while, your body and mind kind of know how to get into a yin state of mind, which is a little different. And it becomes something that's more reasonable. My first, I don't know, a dozen times, I really did not like yin. It was very confronting. And then you kind of learn to deal with yourself a little bit. So these poses are just you and your mind, hopefully focusing on the breath, but thoughts do come up. You still have to deal with what's going on. If you feel like moving the head from center to the side or side back to center, whatever you're doing, now is a good time to try that. And slowly unwind and switch sides. Left underneath, right, stay here in broken wings or eagle Garudasana arms, gazing one way or straight down the center. So the three principles of our yin practice, our three tattvas, are to come into a pose at a reasonable depth for you. So that may be different than what it looks like for me or somebody else. So starting at a level that's pushing towards your edge, not all the way to the edge, maybe by the end of the pose, especially along the pole, but starting where you're feeling something. It's supposed to be, intense and confronting. Second tattva or principle is decide to stay there. Commit to being there and holding the pose in stillness. The third one is decide to stay there for a long time. So we're just committing to being here, no matter what comes up. Shift your gaze if you're working more than one. And slowly unwind. Take the right arm out. You might move to the left edge of your mat so you can roll and stay on your mat. I'm kind of staying by the wall, you can adjust as needed. Roll over toward your right shoulder. The left leg will bend behind you. You might like the left arm in a half wrap. And your right leg can bend. You can even have the right foot down. That's more intense. If you need it even more intense, the left foot on the outer right knee, guide the knees over toward the left more. Pay attention to your breath. Slowly unwind to your stomach. Shift over towards your right. And take the left arm out. Roll over toward your left shoulder. Right leg may bend quiet. Right arm may take a half wrap. These are all options. It's mostly focused on the right shoulder, the left shoulder. Both legs may bend. You need it more intense, the right foot to the outer left knee, and the knees go over towards your right. Breathe space into the tight areas. Slowly release. Move slowly when you release out of poses. It can be very intense. Okay, so we're coming into Dragon Series. I think it's my favorite. It's my favorite in Yang. As a lizard pose, it's my favorite in Yin. If you have props, this would be the one pose I would use props. Have them if you have them, 2 blocks, a bolster, or all 3. And the wall. Wall adds intensity. Don't use the wall if it's too intense. So, not using the wall, start from easiest to most intense. Both hands are on the inside of my right foot, and my back knee is down. Okay? Both hands inside, back leg down. Hands can be on blocks. Any setting. There's 3 settings for the block and no setting, that's 4 settings. Or forearms down on blocks, so that's 8 options just for upper body. The more I'm forward and down like this, more intense. If that's not intense enough, right foot forward so that the bend is more of an obtuse angle versus a right angle. You think I like geometry, I don't. Okay, so this is an option. I'm using right now the back of my foot pressing into the baseboard. That kind of feels good, but if you want the more intense variation, the shin and knee are flush to the wall if you can handle it, otherwise knee forward a little bit. For me it's flush to the wall, I want it as intense as possible, and I want my front hip to work intensely so my leg is going to work towards straight. You don't have to be this intense, right? And I'm going to lower down. This is my start. This might be your end, but maybe too much as a start. So this is where I'm going to be. I'm going to show you all the options we're doing so that we can keep our eyes closed for as long as possible. This is our first very long hold. So we'll start here, or any kind of shape like this, with the knee in. Then I'll call out wing dragon. We'll take the foot out with the option of rolling to the pinky edge of the foot, that's more intense, or just foot down. And you can push the thigh away. Okay, wing dragon. Then we'll take it into dragon pulling tail. We'll reach back to grab the foot. So the right hand will grab the left foot. I know the dogs are blocking, but you're reaching back to grab the foot. Come here, Odie. Okay, so you'll reach back and grab the foot. That'll be wing dragon. We'll come up, we'll open our eyes for the last 2. Okay, so that we'll do those 3, but that'll be 4 minutes just for those 3 shapes. This is going to feel like an eternity if this is new for you. It's very challenging. Decide to stay with it anyway, right? Enter the pose at a reasonable level, decide to stay with it for a long time. Decide to be still and then stay with it for a long time. Okay, starting now. 4 minutes here. So I'll talk a little bit just so we can kind of get into it. Since we are here for a long time in this one, let's start by noticing our physical body, starting with the front hip. Trying to keep that knee pinned into the upper arm. Allowing, for some of us it might be a hamstring stretch as well, but there's a lot going on and the front and the back hip are working in a different way. But it's a neutral hip. We're opening up hip flexors in flexion and extension, front and back. Just notice, for each of us it's going to feel different. Notice what it feels like in the front leg, front hip, and then bring your attention to the back leg and hip. The upper body should be as relaxed as possible. This is where you could use a bolster to kind of rest on if you needed or wanted. But upper body, you have to support yourself, but other than that, you should be fairly relaxed. So if the head can rest on something, that's nice. Notice the back hip flexor, how that feels. This is the opposite of being seated. So for a lot of us, this is going to feel very intense as we try to release the psoas and let the hip flexor open. We're almost at the 2-minute mark. Begin to wing open your dragon. So take the right foot out toward 2 o'clock. Come to the pinky edge of the foot if you like. And push the thigh away with the right hand. Stay with it. Bend the back leg, reach back and grab it, right hand to left foot, roll the right shoulder up, open up your heart, keep the eyes closed. The gaze can be kind of in line with the heart. You could work the gaze up to strengthen the neck. I like working the gaze down to stretch the neck. Left hand, you might find a mudra, middle finger to thumb. If you're under form, that would not work if you're under palm. Even though it feels intense, can you pull the heel toward your bum any amount? But keep working the right shoulder up and back. The shoulders are retracting, moving away from your ears, drawing back, shoulder blades down your back. Stay with it. Slowly and carefully release the leg, lift the body up, open your eyes for a moment. We're going to move into the next shape. So that's very intense, I know. For me, it was actually bothering my knee a little bit. I had to adjust. So if that's, sometimes that happens. Lift the hips up and back. I'm keeping my back leg up against the wall, but I could move all the way. I'll move all the way forward today. And take the right leg straight forward, work the right hip back and forward fold. You can have blocks here. You could be on palms or forearms. Counter pose and really curl the right toes back, especially the pinky toe, like you're trying to reach it to your outer knee. Really working and emphasizing the hamstring stretch. Lift up, coming into full dragon splits or wherever your body will allow. This is where I would suggest props too if you have them. You can keep the back leg up the wall. Today I think I'm going to do ball of the foot pressing into the baseboard, or if you don't have a baseboard, into the wall, doesn't really matter. It's just the contact. I like the feedback of the foot to the wall. So flexing my foot with the ball of the foot down is adding more intensity. The back leg of the wall also does. So if both of those are not for you, don't do it. And I know not all of us have our full splits where we can be all the way down. Have your hands down, hopefully you have blocks, otherwise it might be fingertips, or you're just lifting up and back and it's kind of more like that half splits. If you do have it and you can keep that hip rounding down and you can forward fold, add a forward fold. again, commit to being here, commit to stillness, and commit to holding it for a while. You're working toward flexibility and your face is all filled with tension and stress. You'll never get there. Your body is tense, it can't also open and be flexible. So focus on your breath and envision the tight part of your body preventing you from finding more space in this stretch. Bring your attention there, and as you inhale, direct the energy there, inviting space in. As you exhale, visualize space opening up as you surrender a little bit more to gravity. And it works this slowly, but focus on it, direct the energy there. The breath is coming in and out through the nose, but the energy is staying inside and in controlling it. If you're in a forward fold, lift up. Everyone slowly come on out. The exciting part is that we go straight into the second side. So if you want the right leg up the wall, do so. If it ends up hurting your knee and you have something to pad it, I kind of wish I did today, pad your knee, take the left leg forward. You'll notice that this will feel even more intense on the second side, and at the same time, the back leg might enjoy a little bit of that freedom. Both hands on the inside, keeping the knee in. So first round is here or on forearms. Wing dragon, foot out toward like 10 o'clock, pinky edge of foot, you might push the thigh away. It's literally working the inner thigh flesh up and out. Then grabbing back, same hand, grabbing back for the right foot, so left hand to right foot, pulling it in toward your bum. Then we'll open up and take this stretch into the full split. So 4 minutes in all of these shapes, and then we'll work the last two in a couple minutes. So here we go, timer starts now. Start by noticing the difference between sides. Now we're on our second side. For many of us, it's our non-dominant side, which sometimes is more flexible but less strong. Not always the case. Just noticing, taking inventory. There's nothing we're trying to change, there's no judgment, there's just paying attention. What's happening? What's the reality of this moment? Yin focuses to be very much in the moment, mindfulness, paying attention on purpose to the present moment, which really you can't be in any other moment, so you might as well be paying attention to the one you're in, and oops, it just went and passed us. So it's just being present in your body, being present in your mind, being present in your life, showing up with purpose. We start by paying attention. We have to notice, who are we? What is our body doing? What feels good? What doesn't? And trying not to fidget, which for me is the hardest part. I'm an expert fidgeter, so I have to really focus. Yin is very good for me to help focus my amped up, my rajasic energy. So those of you who are similar to me with that, very flighty, fiery, pitta, I'm very vata and pitta if you're Ayurvedic. So I have a lot of wind, I need a lot of grounding. These poses are very grounding. But I'm also very fiery, which is more like a yang practice, and this is very cooling. Yin is a cooling, feminine practice. Moon-like. So for some of us, this is very balancing. Approaching the halfway mark, and we'll work toward our wing dragon. So taking the foot out toward 10 o'clock, pinky edge of the foot maybe, and rolling the inner thigh flesh up and out as you lean back. Deciding where you want the gaze even though the eyes are closed. So your drishti, where you're pointing your head, I'm looking down just to stretch my neck. You may look up or straight ahead. Reach back with the left hand to grab the right foot and pull your heel toward your bum. I know that adds so much to this. Let's see if you can do it anyway. Stay with it, last few breaths. And release. If you're near the wall and want to move away from it, we're coming into half split Ardha Hanumanasana. So straighten the left, work the left hip back. I'm kind of pressing the ball of my right foot into the wall. Pull the heart forward and enjoy. This should feel like a bit of a counter pose, but it's leading us into the full splits. When in doubt, bring your attention to your breath. Let it be an anchor for your attention. Slowly lifting up, sliding forward into whatever you can do today in your dragon splits. It's like Hanumanasana. So again, I kind of like the ball of the foot against the wall. I usually put the leg up, but this feels really nice. And with the ball of the foot down, it's a deeper stretch. So if you seek that, the front foot could be pointed, it could be flexed, or it could be like a yoga point. Try to keep the right hip squared, whether you're lifted up or all the way lowered. If you're all the way lowered and can forward fold, you can have that. Stay with it. Let your breath help you. And slowly come up. You made it. Okay, so try again. If a pose is getting intense, and they get intense for me too, and your mind can't keep you in it, back out a little bit, just don't come out completely. So try not to come completely out of a pose, even if it's very intense, unless it's triggering injury sensations, like a tingling sensation, then please come out and take care of yourself. But other than that, if it's just uncomfortable and confronting, stay with it. So coming into Mandukasana Froggy, I'm just going to show two options, a few variations, but two orientations, let's say. Okay, so right now I have hips in line with knees, and heels in line with knees, so like in a box. I could take my heels in a little bit, I can send my hips back a little bit. I can kind of stay upright, sort of in between, lower down the forearms or lower down all the way. If I had a bolster, I might want to lie on top of a bolster or something comfortable. I might put something down just so I don't have my face on the ground. Options. So those were, your legs are either like this or they can come in. The only thing you don't want is hips in front of your knees, that's not any stretch. Some of us might prefer this. While it is a little less intense and the upper body gets to be entirely passive, it still is intense, so don't think this is a cakewalk. The legs are out and you can decide how far out and how low down and how turned down. So I'm very turned out, like I'm in second position, like a dancer, if my knees can be in line with my heels. Option to take the arms on the inner knees and kind of gently let gravity, assist gravity to help you open up. You'll feel it right here in the inner thighs, kind of the adductors. So you can be here. If it's too intense, you bring it in more. So this, wide, adding the arms, still pretty intense. I'm going to do the upright one, which is a little more intense. So if you have something that you can rest your face on, that might be nice. All right. So find your shape. Remember to stick with it. It should feel intense pretty much the whole way. Decide to stay still anyway. So breathe into the tight areas that need some space and direct the energy, the value, the wind of the breath there. And if your head is to one side, I'll guide you when we're at the halfway mark so you can turn to the other side. And if your forehead's resting and you're staying pretty symmetrical with your neck, then you're fine. This is a confronting position, especially for how long we're holding it, which is 4 minutes. Focus on your breath and invite your positive thought or another positive calming thought in. See if you can bring all of your attention toward your positive thought and bringing it in on your inhale. And on your exhale, envisioning that positive energy circulating throughout your body and sending space to the tight areas of your body. Working your breath as a tool to keep your mind occupied while the body opens up a little bit more gracefully. If your cheeks to one side, now switch. And slowly, oh so slowly come out. So either take the legs back behind, I have to like lift my legs right now, there's stuff. But come out any way that makes sense. Oh my goodness. Okay. Alright. Whoa. That should feel intense when you come out. Almost as intense as being in it. Now Sphinx is going to feel so good. We're going to come into Sphinx if that's enough for you, or it's Seal, which is the same as Cobra. So hands in front of you. I'm going to do balls of the feet pressing into the baseboard because I like that today. Otherwise I would take my legs at the wall. We're going to come into saddle pose, which is like hero's pose in a yang practice. And for some of us, I'm going to show so many options so that we all have something to work toward. We've opened our body in so many ways to prepare for this. That doesn't mean it's going to happen for all of us. And I know for some of us it really puts strain on the knee, maybe even like the gracilis muscle. You don't want to hurt your knees. So there's ways to do something else, and there's alternatives entirely. Assuming we'll do left leg back first. Options, I'll start at the less intense and work to more intense. So less intense, you're trying to work just one leg. You might even sit up on something. If this doesn't work, this might be easier with the right leg bent. This still can feel like a nice stretch, and for some of us this is plenty. Maybe you lean forward or you lean back a little bit, but maybe you're just here. So this can be it. If you can have the leg straight, you can have the leg bent. Or it's both. So if you can do both, I usually get into it like this, where I take my hands to my calves and spin them out of the way so I can really lower the thighs down and hug the feet in. But this is yin, so in yin, you don't necessarily have to keep the knees straight forward. They can open up and it almost becomes like a slightly different shape. But it's like hero's pose, it's called saddle pose. So if we're doing one or both, you can still add the reclining. If you have a bolster or a pillow that resembles one, I would place it lengthwise like this. I like to get into it nice and slowly, hold the feet and lower one elbow and forearm then the other. This could be a stopping point. I'm going to show one other basic one. Okay, so this could be a stopping point. If you're coming into the full expression, notice I keep lifting my hips and lengthening my tailbone to the backs of my knees, and I'm going to lower down slowly. So this is intense, and this is kind of the final variation of a reclined saddle pose. If this is too much for you and you don't have a prop, please don't do this. This is very intense. You can be in a variation that's a little bit easier. I'll show one last variation. If all of it's too intense, you could be here more like Thunderbolt, Vajrasana, and just lean back, hands down, roll the heart open. This should be reasonable, doesn't impact the knees, not big on the hip flexors. So this is fine, right? You could be here. If you're like, I don't want anything to do with this kind of action, just take puppy pose again. So you're keeping the heart open, okay? You're not gonna get into the hip flexors, but you'll keep the heart open, because we're adding heart opener as well. So we're gonna be here for about 3 minutes. If you're doing one at a time, I'll tell you when to switch. If you're doing a symmetrical pose, stay where you are, or at that halfway mark, get deeper into the pose. Better to start upright or maybe here before working all the way down if that doesn't work for you. Right? For some of us this shape is reasonable and others it's not. Please don't do anything that impacts the knees. Pick any of the alternatives that I've shown or another alternative that works for you. Lengthen the tailbone to the backs of the knees. And arms any way you like. I tend to like them up and overhead. That may not be what you like. You can also, I sometimes do this. You can change. I mean, don't try everything. We're not trying to fidget, but you also don't have to be a martyr and stay too still. If you need that change at the midway point, find a different variation. Allow your breath to really help you here find that ease and comfort. If you're doing one side, switch. If you need to change slightly or symmetrical variation or move where you hold the arms, take that change as well. Or lower down. If you are using a prop and can remove it, any change that will help you through the last half. Last few breaths. In the fully reclined variation, reach for your calves, or your shins, and lift up just to the top of your head or to the elbows, and slowly come up. So move slowly to come out of this. Stand the legs forward. Take the right leg over the left, single or half shoelace or full shoelace. Left leg bends as well. So half or full, you can sit on something if you need. Eventually the knees touch, mine don't. This is a very tough shape for me. And I usually do the half. I think I didn't even do the half. I can already tell my hips aren't going to handle it. So if the half is a better shape for you, take the half variation. Notice now how I have to draw your attention, but notice how I'm lifting my booty flesh up so I can find my sit bones. There's probably a classier way to say that, but right over left. So I'm doing one leg. We're going to do classic arms today, unless that's too much. So options. This would be the easiest variation. Sitting on something would be a hint easier. We're going to end up forward folding. You could forward fold with no arms. That's a little more intense. We're going to add arms if you want it. So the right arm will go out to the side, flip behind you, and come to your lower back. And then I usually take my left hand and guide it up. So it's like in the middle between my shoulder blades. And I kind of awkwardly use my own wrist to do that, to guide it up more. The left arm comes up, flip the palm, and try to grab for the fingers. And if that's too intense, wherever the hand lands is fine. You don't actually have to grab. You can stay upright, this is a lot. You can lean forward, this is even more intense. And if you have both legs bent in the full variation, it's very intense. And if the arms are too much, don't do it. Focus on your breath. Slowly lift up. If you're in full variation, I didn't even do the arms. I couldn't even handle that today. If you're in full variation, lengthen out, right over left. So the legs are crossed. Send the tailbone back as you tip the pelvis forward to try to keep length in the lower spine, and then forward fold over the legs. Slowly lift up. Take the left hand to the pinky edge of the right foot. Lift the leg up. It could be bent and you can hold the knee. And take the right arm behind you. We're just going to twist by pulling the right leg across to the left as we reach the right arm back. Keep the low belly in. You could also take a half wrap with the right arm if you want that. And lower down. Left over right, single or full shoelace, like Gomukhasana pose. I'm going to stick to Ardha and keep the right leg straight, which gets into the right leg in a nice way. You'll still feel something in the outer left hip. If you're doing the arms, I'll show it, I don't think I'm doing it. Left arm behind you. Again, let the right hand be a nice helper. If you had a strap, you could have it in the top arm and your hands interlaced. You could stay upright. Today I'm just going to forward fold with, in half variation, no arms. You do what makes sense in your body. Slowly lift up. Release the right leg straight, those of you in the full variation, crossing the left ankle over the right. Forward folding, sending the tailbone back as you pull the heart forward. It's such a nice stretch on the lower back if you get into it with that integrity versus just, I'm going to forward fold. So lengthening out with the crossed legs especially, a really nice way to release. We did a lot of low back stuff. Slowly lift up. Right hand to the pinky edge of the left foot or to the outer knee and keep it bent. The left arm behind you and pull the leg across as you reach the left arm back, but keep the belly in. You can keep the arm out or take a half rep. So we're going to take, instead of Shavasana, we're just going to sit with each other. I'm going to guide you through a very short meditation, a loving kindness meditation, and then we'll close it out. So if you need a Shavasana, you can take that after. Come into any seated position that's comfortable. If you have Padmasana, you can take Padmasana or stay in easy pose. Hands can be at the heart, hands can be resting down, grounding, palms can be up, energizing, so whatever feels comfortable for you. Actually, let's do palms up and I'll give you a mudra. Left middle finger, ring finger to thumb. Right middle finger, index finger to thumb. Pushan mudra, give her a good help. Sitting down, grounding the pelvis down as you lift up through the crown of the head, finding lightness. So I will guide you through a metta meditation. You can say it quietly to yourself or out loud, everyone's muted. May I be happy. May I be at peace. May I be at ease and free from suffering. May I be happy. May I be at peace. May I be at ease and free from suffering. Think of someone that you hold dear, a loved one, a child, a partner, a parent, a friend. And with that person in mind, may you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be at ease and free from suffering. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be at ease and free from suffering. And sending loving kindness out to our immediate and greater communities. Universal loving kindness. May we be happy. May we be at peace. May we be at ease and free from suffering. May we be happy. May we be at peace. May we be at ease and free from suffering. Bring the hands together at the heart center. Starting our loving kindness meditation first within ourselves, spreading love and kindness out toward others. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free. May our thoughts, words, and actions contribute to that happiness and freedom. Lift your heart, bow in. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.